On the experimental card, there is a couple changes happening. First of all, Moira got a ridiculous change, which I've covered greatly in detail and why we should not let this go through. Link to that in the description below. But at the same time, Genji got a nerf, and I think it's important, if not even more important, to talk a little bit about this and if the nerf is actually justified. Beautiful and lovely gamers, my name is Jonal. Of course, before the video starts, a like on the video really helps against YouTube's algorithm, helps promote the video and the channel, so thank you so much for doing that. And the same goes for a comment down below, and of course, if you'd like this type of content, subscribe to the channel. It would be amazing if we could hit 20,000 subscribers to just make my 2020 at least a little bit better than what it currently is. Outside of that, if you want to rank up, improving a bit of the game, and also support the channel financially, you can hire me as a private coach. It's 50 euros for a 2-hour session. Hit me up on a Discord, linked in the description. Now, no bullshit me, here is the Genji. This is what has happened to him. After the buffs, they have essentially turned down his damage that they buffed not too long ago, reducing his damage from 30 down to 28, and doing his recovery time an increase from 0.65 to 0.75, which essentially just means you have slowed down the fire rate by 0.1 second. But this is super easy to just list on there and boom, ending of the video. But I think it's important that we talk a little bit about, is this justified? Does this make sense? Should he never have had the buff? Should he keep the buff? And how is it? And I want also to point out two things. Number one, he still, from his previous state, has a buff. Like he kept his deflect cancel and his reduced fire spread. Those two have still been kept, and those two are worth far more than a increased recovery time on his secondary fire. So he is still stronger than what he was before he got the buff, even if this nerf goes live. However, in my opinion, this is kind of not justified, and let me explain why. So if we look at what Genji is good at, there's three things that come into mind. Genji's number one priority, or one of the main reasons he's so fucking good, and one of the main reasons Genji players, which normally before did 28 damage per shuriken, could outdamage people like Hanzo's, McCree's, and Soldier 76's, which overall has much higher damage output. And that is his wall climb. The fact that Genji can take high ground and is so mobile, the best hero for high ground control, as the only one that can really match him, is Hanzo, right? Every other hero that can get to high ground with, like, for example, a Winston, has to burn an ability cooldown to do it. Genji and Hanzo can just climb up and down, and the good thing with Genji is that if he climbs to contest a Hanzo on high ground, he will already be in close range of the Hanzo, which essentially gives Genji the advantage on that. So Genji has this amazing wall climb ability, which does that if he's going up against like a Hanzo or McCree on his team and wants to outdamage him, it normally does not happen because Genji's stats are so fucking good. It mainly happens because the Genji is circumventing shields. He is off-angling from high grounds and so on, angles that is far more aggressive than if he were playing low ground. Then he would just get smacked by a Ryan or beamed by a Zarya, and could therefore shoot around shields, hit tanks, and hit supports, and build up more damage. Meanwhile, the McCree, for example, is stuck shooting behind his own shield and another shield. So therefore, Genji, in general, can have higher damage output, which is one of the great things with him. The second one is, of course, his Dragon Blade. Building Dragon Blade is incredibly powerful if it is comboed with Nano. A plain blade can do a lot, but it is far more difficult because, one, people know a lot about how to counteract it, and there's so many fucking counters to that ability. If Baptiste has his immortality field, he can drop that. That's a huge delay. Bubbles are a huge delay. Nades are. There's a bunch of support ultimates and rally, and there's pushes and stuns, and just all this kind of just wave of shit that can deny a blade if it's not getting nano boosted. If it's nano boosted, it can be incredibly powerful and essentially guarantee a win fight if you're good with him. But outside of that, as an ultimate on its own, it is decent. With nano boost, it's insane. And that's one of the few win conditions that you have for Genji. Like, he's really been played for a long period of time as just an ult generator. And the last thing is his dash. Genji plays within 15 meters, as I said a billion times on this channel, 15 meters of the enemy team at the moments that he can. And that's because 50 plus 30 equals 80 damage. So you can start and engage with 80 damage flat and close the gap so you can deal easier close range damage. However, before he got his buff, this was still the case, and it still is now, even if the experimental card goes live or not, his kit is still the same. However, because he had a wider spread and he had a lower damage output, it did that his TTK was relatively slow in closer ranges, even if you were good with him. Doing that, a lot of time, support could be able to latch on, and as a Genji player, you were highly recommended or highly reliable on your team to do damage. You did a lot of your playstyle was following up on damage, unless you're playing in low elos where there's a bunch of stuff you can do to abuse enemy mistakes and positioning, ability usage, and so on. But in high elos, and if you look at the core kit of Genji, you are a lot of time, also in low elos a lot of the time, comparatively to how the enemy team is playing, reliant on damage from your team, or distraction from your team, or sustain from your team, to actually get in there and have the time to build up damage, so you can get frags. And if you get going, you can get kills, and the fact that you can bypass shields yourself by just dashing through, dealing 80 damage in your engage combo, doing right clicks and they get a reset to escape or chain onto another kill, is incredibly powerful. But if its damage model is so significantly lower than everybody else's, especially if we start calculating stuff like armor from Briggs, and in fact, when we start talking about people have immortality field nades, they have CC, either soft CC to move you or hard CC to stun you, this can quickly become an issue. And the buff that Genji got was to remedy that, to remedy a lot of the power creeping that was going on. He got a damage increase from 20 to 30, which essentially just allowed him to get kills with one less shuriken, which could be really good, because if you think normally, if you needed 6 shurikens to kill a target, and by average you hit 2 to the body or 1 to the head, that means that you would have to fight 3 volleys. Now, with 20 to 30, you get 5 shurikens needed, but again, because you're hitting 2 to the body or 1 to the head, you still need 3 volleys, except the fact that you can always, on current live, where his damage is 30 per shuriken, replace a shuriken with a melee. Doing you actually only need 2 volleys and a melee, and the melee comes for free if you're using it as a finisher. So that it actually sped up his kill time significantly, plus helped in certain small situations to just get some of these kills and kind of round the damage out. On top of that, they decreased his spread, which makes him far more consistent across the board for everything from a novice to a professional, and just helped his damage up significantly. And they still do allow him to cancel deflect, which is standard by now. May can cancel eye blocks, Reaper can cancel ray forms, and it's just standard that people can cancel their abilities by now. Currently, if this is, he's strong, but the reason he's strong, in my opinion, and again, this comes from someone that coaches Genji a lot when I private coach, and also play him a lot myself. In everything from, I have a platinum account that I play with friends on, and also I have, high masters and GM accounts that will sit around and play in that elo and everything in between. I also have a diamond account. I don't play in lower elos than that because my lowest account is plat. I play that with friends, but I go anywhere between platinum and grandmaster, and I coach everything between bronze and top 500 players that play in contenders. And the Genji is not a S tier untouchable pick. You need a lot of skill. There's a lot of counters to him. The issue is that people does not understand how to play against him, and I think as well that Genji, and this is like something that got pointed out by Necros on Twitter, and he said, I wonder if the people complaining have ever had it cross their mind that maybe Genji has a high pick rate because he's finally decent and, more importantly, actually fun to play and grind out. I know, crazy, right? Genji is incredibly fun, Genji is incredibly versatile, and Genji can be incredibly scary. He has been that. I have been dominating before the buff happened, and when the buff went live, it's a quality of life. You can do plays and you can make incredible moves, and I'm not even as good as somebody like Necros or Shadowburn or any of these like incredible Genji players, but you can make incredible plays, you can do a lot of stuff. But trust me, I private coach people that play Genji, and there's a lot of people that does still know how to use him, that he's still getting countered everything from bronze all the way up to high elo grandmaster games, there's still counters to him. When I play him, again, I'm not an insane god like some of these top 500, but when I play him, I notice myself that a lot of time I'm like, you know, if I swap to Pharah here or to Hanzo, or if I play Tracer or McCree, I can actually do better and make this just easier for myself by just swapping to somebody else, because sometimes Genji isn't enough. Because of the amount of counterplay that can be made to him, the amount of pressure, and because he is still, even with the buff that is currently live, he is still 100% not insanely busted. You still have to follow team damage. You still have to play around your team and follow that. Yes, he is easier to execute. Yes, he can make plays that he couldn't make before because he's far more consistent. But in my opinion, reducing his damage, while I can say fair enough, the fact that they did that and decreased his fire rate is too much. Reduce his damage, fair enough. I can go with that the reduction to spread and the fact that I can cancel the deflect now is a decent balance. And if people think that he's a little bit too strong, I personally think that the quality of life for having a round-up system makes him most satisfying, because it doesn't feel good when you are landing a combos and you're landing headshots, but the damage module just is built in a way where you will have to take an additional extra shot, which actually makes a huge difference in fights. I don't like that, and I don't like the fact that they now are thinking, okay, we reduce his damage, fair, and we also reduce his fire rate by increasing it by 0.1 second. I think it's too much, and I think it makes no sense. I think there's so many counters and there's so many other really strong heroes and so many ways to play around with this that I don't think, again, that this is a representation of how this balance should be executed. And that's my personal opinion. I would like to hear yours down below, because again, in my opinion, his gameplay hasn't changed, his playstyle hasn't changed. The only thing that changed was, if you're good, he is a little bit better, he's more consistent, and if you're really, really bad, he's a little bit easier to pick up. But generally, there isn't that much that has changed with him, except the fact that animation canceling with wall climbs on your deflect has been removed. And again, that's something that I said I was against. Most people disagreed with me and said, you know what, we want the deflection cancel. I think that's the only thing that really reduces skill stealing by a lot. He is not as easy to hit with as a lot of people are saying. The only thing that he's easy to hit with is that when you're already up in somebody's face, yes, he's easy to hit with if the enemy is not moving correctly. So yes, I've heard Silver players say, oh, he's so, you know, I get 1v1 by Genji players because he's so easy to aim with. If you play in Silver, he's not easy to aim with, because trust me, I see Silver players play Genji and they miss significantly more than they think. It's a very common practice that when you get deleted by a hero, that people get really, really mad. Now, I will be talking about if Genji should lose his dash reset, which was tweeted out by one of the Overwatch League casters, that he should be removed, that they should remove his dash reset. If you're interested in seeing that video, subscribe to the channel, like, and comment. Do you agree with me that I don't think that the nerf is justified? Potentially, it's justified to say reduce damage from 30 to 28, but it's not justified, in my opinion, to increase his fire rate, no, to decrease his fire rate by 0.1 second. Making him slower at shooting shurikens, in my opinion, is not fair to the hero at all, and to the balance and the players. But again, that's my humble opinion. Please tell me down in the comment section what you guys think. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, and if you want to rank up, improve, and get better at the game, hire me as a private coach. It's 50 euros for a 2-hour session. It's also help support the channel and generally me in life. Link down to the description to my Discord server where you can hit me up. But as always, guys, please take care of yourselves, stay positive. I love you guys very, very much. And as always, keep telling me, and you're awesome.